Welcome to the Nightly Rant
with
your
hosts,
Mike.
and Torya.
This is the show where we examine society from a sarcastic point of view.
If you like insane conversations, this is definitely the show for you.
Let's get into today's topic. YPN people, I don't know about you, but I love helping out a friend. That's why I want to shout out my friend Brian Little and his podcast, Your Favorite Blockhead. This is the only show that manages to weave together peanuts and MMA into one heck of an amazing podcast. You can find Your Favorite Blockhead wherever your favorite podcasts reside and at yourfavoriteblockhead.com. Do me a huge favor and listen to Brian's show. You'll be entertained and you'll help out a friend. Now, as I said, let's get into today's topic. Well, it looks like we're back in business with guests.
Yep, we had a guest.
You know, the last guest we had was banned from our show.
But he's also the only guest we've had that was banned for our show.
And he probably will be the only one who's ever banned from our show. Because we're pretty easy-going about stuff like that.
And you invited someone else to come on, next week?
A week from tomorrow. No, a week from the day after tomorrow.
But we're not going to tell you who it is, so...
No. Special guest coming on.
Enjoy. You'll like it, we promise.
They will know, he or she, whomever they are.
Teehee.
But it kind of brings me to the point of how we have gotten in the past demonized about things.
Like what?
And, well, you stole campaign money, yet every penny was accounted for.
Or you committed voter fraud?
Yeah, exactly.
Or I'm just another leftist?
Right. We get demonized for the dumbest things. And I'm not saying our way is the right way and their way is the wrong way. I'm not even making a judgment on that. Because first of all, I think it would be obvious that if I'm sticking to our way, then I probably think our way is right. I mean, that seems obvious. And then people will say, well, you always think your side of things is right. Well, duh. Why wouldn't I?
If you didn't think your side of things was right, then why are you thinking it?
I'd be on their side or somebody else's side. And that's the other thing about that. Who says that because I'm not on your side, that my only other choice would be to be on your side?
It's called a political spectrum.
Yeah, I mean, I could be on someone else's side. I could like the purple man instead of the orange man. Who knows?
It's not a two-sided wall. It's a spectrum.
You mean the wall that they already made a ladder that's taller than it so that people can climb over? That wall?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah,
what a waste. The wall authorized by the giant tangerine.
What a waste. Closing the border.
Also,
frickin' does nothing.
What kind of... I don't know. I can't think of a better way to describe this besides fucking moron thought that Joe Biden and his lunacy and dementia and allegations and strange sniffing was a good idea to be your candidate for the leader of this country?
Does that tell you, though, how rigged things are? Because, okay, initial reaction would be, wow, there's so few competent people that's the best they think they have to offer. And I would believe that to be the answer for the most part, because there's not a lot of competent people. But even though I don't agree with even 0.5% of what the guy says, Bernie Sanders was competent.
Well, I have to say,
Bernie Sanders has been a senator. He speaks coherently. Nobody's accusing him of, grabbing him by the vajayjay. Nobody's doing that. Nobody.
I have to say, while she dropped out very early, Kamala Harris also would have been a less fucking shitty candidate.
We could argue
she's not 100 years old. She has no rape allegations.
No, there's just allegations that she purposely ignored evidence in criminal cases when she was the Attorney General of the state of California, just so she could put people in jail.
I guess everybody has their skeletons.
But
I guess what we're trying to say is literally anyone else running for president on that side would have been a better choice.
Pretty much. And that's the truth. Like, It's not about who do you support? Well, I mean, you know what? I'm not even going to say who I would have supported in that group. I'm not going to say, but this is same argument of, well, you know, if you're against Joe Biden, then you must be for Donald Trump. No, maybe I'm for Elizabeth Warren. Maybe I'm for Bernie Sanders. Maybe I'm for some other weirdo. Maybe I'm for Vermin Supreme. How do you know? You don't know, because there are other candidates. And the problem with people with opinions is that once they've decided that this is the way they're going to go, first of all, to use their terminology, they've now decided they're right. Or else why would they be there doing that?
In this giant asshole of a state that we live in, if I could vote, which I can't, so there's no voter fraud going on here, chill the shit out, I would vote for Vermin Supreme, because this state's going to pick Biden anyway, so why not give the person I think is super, super funny a vote?
Well, that Joe lady is the one who got the nomination, though.
I would write in Vermin Supreme just for shits and giggles.
But my point is just that I could have a multitude of other choices, and just because you don't consider them a valid choice, a legitimate choice, a choice with any kind of chance, because that's how you vote, you only want to vote for the winner. So it's not about who's right for the country to you. It's about who wins and who loses. And as long as your side wins, you're happy. And see, unfortunately, I don't think that way. I think whoever's best for my situation, my family, my business, my children, my people.
So how did we get onto this topic? I was on Facebook. I think it's been almost 2 weeks now. That's how long the comments have been pouring in. And I happened to see that Donald Trump has a Facebook ad because he's too stupid to target people properly. Donald Trump has a Facebook ad about some poll that he's conducting to show that he's going to beat Joe Biden. And which I just think is the most hilarious thing. Of course, Donald Trump is going to have a poll skewed towards his people. Oh my God. But that's not even the point. Okay, so I commented on it because I think I'm funny. That both of them are shit, and that can't we just have new candidates because these are both the worst? Okay, so first comment, reply to mine, right out the gate. Apparently I'm a leftist nut job. Okay.
Yeah, because being opposed to Joe Biden, even if you weren't opposed to Trump, makes you a leftist? Give me a break.
Guess if you really reach for the planet called Pluto, you could surmise that by me hating both Trump and Biden, that I'm a Bernie supporter. But you really have to reach.
But I was going to say, though, that they're doing exactly what I'm saying people do. Because you know what? They've decided Republicans are stupid. They're not even an option. Okay, that person that said that.
So then
Republicans are stupid. So the only thing left is Democrats. And so because if you're not a Biden supporter, you must be a far left Democrat in their head. So in one way, your philosophy passed their little filter, but in another way, they're stupid because, like you just said, you'd vote for Vermin Supreme, so they couldn't be more wrong about what you are.
The assumptions, though, are where my problem is. Have people never heard that old saying? Okay, but
but this is the thing I rant about all the time, and usually you're quiet about it. So I'm really glad to see you have something to say about this today. Keep going.
But then, I replied to that person that maybe they should learn to read, because if they had read my comment, they'd look like less of a fucking moron. And then I put a smiley face because, you know, it makes it slightly less salty, but also more sarcastic. Then I proceeded to get comments from at least 20 other people, at least 20, complaining that I am a leftist. What? No, bro. And
hold on. So you got labeled by somebody incorrectly, and there were sheeple that followed that somebody.
Yes, but they're double sheep. Double sheep, because not only did they believe Mr. First Commenter, they also didn't read my reply where I told him he can't read and that I'm not a leftist. Okay? I said these words. Not a leftist. 4 words. 3 words. Mm-hmm. Anyway. Finally, after like 2 weeks, some dude, I think it was a dude, he had a unisex name. Anyway, pops up and is like, can't you people read? She obviously said she's not for either of them. She probably lives in the moderate area and thinks these two are the worst candidates possible that either side could have chosen. And I was like, there's intelligent life.
It's kind of amazing to me because this happens all of the time. Like,
it's horrifying.
Like, they make an assumption about you and then they turn it into reality no matter what you say.
Like, it's such...
You can say flat out, bro, I am not X. And they're going to be like, yes, you're X. You're X. And X people this, and X causes this. See, you're wrong. Well, see, I'm not wrong because I'm not X. You just argued against X. You just showed X was wrong. I'm with you. X is wrong, but I'm not X.
Right. So people, if you're out there and you don't think that Joe Biden is a good candidate, and you think that Donald Trump has proven himself to be kind of an asshat, apparently that makes you a leftist. Enjoy the label. I'm passing it on to all of you.
Isn't it crazy, though, that you'd even get labeled at all in the first place? Because I don't understand what's happened to society where we have a disagreement and it has to be extreme. Like, okay, example. We both like hockey. Right?
Right.
Common ground. We both like hockey.
It's a good thing.
But then
That hockey.
You like Winnipeg.
Uh-huh.
And I like Vegas.
Okay.
Okay? See, it was fate for us to go to Vegas. It just was.
Shut up.
So because we disagree on that, should we start arguing about should I start arguing to you about how you're wrong and that hockey's really good and it's a great sport and blah, 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 blah. And because, if we don't agree on teams, you mustn't like the sport.
Right, because only people who like your team actually like the sport of hockey, right?
Exactly. So there's only one way for us to see eye to eye, and that is we have to agree on everything. Otherwise, we can't get along.
That argument is only true for Angels fans.
It's the dumbest thing, though. It's the dumbest thing because sports is the perfect analogy because there's so many other choices. There's so many teams you could choose from. But no, because I don't like your team, I must love your rival. What? I mean, like, seriously. Why would that be the assumption? Like, okay, you know what? Angels fans. Oh, I don't like the Dodgers. Well, you must love the Giants then. That doesn't necessarily mean that's the case. It could be. Because sometimes, like with me, I like anybody who's playing against the Patriots. Although now it'll be anybody playing against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Because it's really Tom Brady that I don't like.
I thought you hated the coach, too.
I do. And I'll have two people to root against. It's going to be fun. And when they're playing each other, I don't know who I'll go for.
Kind of like I always root against the Edmonton Oilers.
Right.
Every single
exactly.
time.
But one thing I wanted to talk about real quick, because, we're kind of getting to the end of our rope.
I had something funny I was going to say.
Go
now
for
I can't remember. No, I can't remember what it was. Anyway, sorry.
So we just had a guest on our show for the first time in like 3 months, maybe 4.
It was spectacular.
And the last guest that was on our show, we banned that person, and we explained why in maybe 4 episodes ago, something around there. It's called the Ban Hammer. It's there, whatever number that is. I want to say 327, but you'll find, if you look at around 326, 327, 328, you'll find it, the Ban Hammer. So that guy was the last guest, and I think I know for a fact you and I never discussed this topic. Do you agree with me?
I don't know what we're about to say, but
the topic of whether or not to have guests. Have we actually discussed that topic?
No.
During that time frame. Exactly. We never discussed it, and yet I think we both came to the same conclusion. And I base my comments on what we said during the Ban Hammer episode, because you made it clear you were thinking what I was thinking, and how things worked out. We just didn't have guests for that whole time because we were so exhausted from that experience, and that guy was such a lunatic that we took a break. But we had a guest.
It was traumatizing.
We had a guest that is like one of probably 5 people I've always wanted to talk to. And that was...
Really?
Yeah,
He's in your top 5?
Of people I've always wanted to talk to.
That's really cool.
Because he's one of the first people I found on podcasts. You know, obviously what my introduction to podcasts was Adam Carolla had a morning show here, and they changed formats on the station, and he went into podcasting. Heidi, Frosty, and Frank went to AM radio, which doesn't work for them. Too old of a demographic. But at the very same time as Adam Carolla went into podcasting. So I started checking out podcasts because I like Adam Carolla. And I find our guest from tonight, Jordan Harbinger. And he had a show that, out of respect for him, I'm not going to mention the name because apparently the show's still in existence. So, that guy was intelligent when I first heard him. Was intelligent, well thought out. I agreed with him a good percentage of the time, and the times that I didn't agree with him, his reasoning was like beyond ridicule. You couldn't even mess with it unless you were like seriously trying to be a joker. Like his just thinking was just clear, and I like talking to people like that, and I've always wanted to talk to him. So that's who we had on the show, Jordan Harbinger of the Jordan Harbinger Show, and I found him to be very intelligent, forthcoming. I felt like he could sense where we stood on issues, especially after we got going, but yet he was still true to his own opinions on that.
Well, he's the type of person we just discussed that you should be while you're in a conversation. He could tell where the middle ground was. So the main point of what he said was the middle ground, showing us how he agrees on these 6 out of 7 things. And then the 7th thing was the thing he didn't agree quite on, but he wanted to just let us know what his opinion was.
Yeah, and I'm saying, but he was true to his opinion. He didn't try to yes us to death.
Which people have done before.
And that's another thing that just makes me like him. I think that he is a good person, like a nice guy deep down inside. And I think that he's way less cynical than I am. I think that's why a lot of people don't care for me. I think I'm an acquired taste because I'm very cynical.
That's probably why people don't care for me either, because I'm like the most cynical person most people have met.
Well, and it's probably true, but I think what people miss is just because you're cynical, it doesn't make you a complainer. Because if you're cynical and you're like, well, look, here's why I don't trust the government to handle the problems at Amazon. There already are laws to handle those problems at Amazon, and they're not enforcing them. So why would I ever expect the government to enforce the laws on Amazon? Why would I ever expect that?
The Echo just joined our podcast.
It does that once in a while. I don't know what I say, but it's usually when I'm ranting, and she jumps in.
I just wanted to say, speaking of Amazon, there she is in the background.
But that's the thing, like, you have to realize, you have to look back at history. You're very right when you say that people who ignore history are destined to repeat the disasters.
Well, yeah.
And I think
how it goes.
I think you have to pay attention to the past, and you have to assess the future actions you're going to take off of what happened in the past.
Have you ever met a person that does something really, really, really stupid? Like, we're going to use a really, really toddlery example. They touch the hot stove. And then you think that they're going to be a normal person and they're going to learn that hot stove equals ouch. But then 2 days later, they like flat palm the hot stove again because they're just a freaking idiot.
Or funnier than that, same idea, is the person that does that, touches the hot stove. Then you're not there. And when you show up, they tell you about it. But how do they tell you about it?
By touching
the hot stove again.
Those are also amusing.
Because they want you to relive the experience with them.
But those are people who will not survive the survival of the fittest.
Correct.
Sorry, but...
Well, I don't disagree, but...
You touch the stove twice, you're just not
what
meant to
made
live.
you go there? I'm confused a little bit.
Because you were talking about people who don't learn from history.
Oh, and you're using that as history. Okay, got it. Makes more sense to me now. I was like lost for a second. Sorry. But that's my point. Like, you can't, there's a reason why they say doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. There's a reason they say that. Because what sane person would keep doing the exact same thing, getting the exact same result, but expecting a different result? What sane person would do that? Nobody. So I think that people, you, me, other people, you have to consider that, well, I've tried this a couple of times. It's not working. I need to try something different.
Yep.
I mean, that's one of the things that you quickly learn when you write programming code. I tried something. It didn't work. If you're like really sure that it should have worked, you copy and you paste it somewhere so you have it. But you don't bang your head on the wall trying it over and over and over again. Because guess what? If it's broke, it's broke. And if you don't change anything, it's going to stay broke. I mean, that's just the way shit is. So think about that. What happened in the past matters, because if you had X number of times in a row where you asked for something and you got a hell no, well, why are you going to keep asking for it? It's going to be a hell no.
Well, exactly.
It just doesn't make sense to me. And people do that, though.
Hell no. No
They
hell.
just keep doing it, though, like over and over and over and over and over and over. And it's tiresome. It's like a mouse in one of those wheels, a hamster in a wheel, just running. I don't understand people that don't have a point to what they're saying. Well, it's my opinion. I'm allowed to have my opinion. You're right. You are. But what led you to your opinion? Like, let's be real. How did you come to that opinion?
And now you've come full circle to the very beginning of the topic again.
Exactly.
There you go.
Because I'm a professional.
There you go.
So you know what, crazy lady?
What?
I'm kind of tired.
I've been tired for at least the last 6 minutes.
Well, then you know what that means.
Good night, everyone.
Hasta la bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the Nightly Rant.
If you enjoyed the show, please give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Google Play.
If you didn't enjoy the show, please just ignore that previous request for a rating.
This has been a Yogi's Podcast Network production.